Okay, so I have two bathrooms to do in this house. This is one of them. Got a window, and I'm gonna install the durock. Gonna put the curb in, waterproof, pre-slope, etc., etc., etc. So this is what I'm starting at. And first thing I'm gonna do, see this window here? I gotta do some work on this window because I'm gonna wrap this window with marble. So I'm gonna work on that and take care of that. And then I'm gonna, there's gonna be a niche right here, etc., etc. So I'm gonna take care of that right now. Okay, so I built the curb. I had to fool with this thing because this here is too far out, so I had to fool around with this here to get it so the shear would go past there. So I took care of that. So I prepped the window for the durock, so I'm going to frame that on durock and made an opening here for this powder stud out so I can make a cubby in there. And so tomorrow I'm going to put in the pre-slope in both bathrooms. Okay, so I'm going to be installing a better bench, and the better bench is for support for a corner seat. You don't really have to put the better bench in, but I like to put it in for more support for this seat because it's a big granite seat. So that's the blocking. So when you screw you've got something to screw the better bench into, instead of using anchors, the blocking you can screw directly into the wood. Okay, so I'm going to install the pre-slope in the shower floor, and this is the three-piece drain here, and three-piece drain obviously is made up of three pieces. It has these bolts here, 4 of them. I'm just going to put 2 in for now, just to show you. And then, so I'm going to put a pre-slope in here, and the pre-slope is so before you put the liner in, so any water that gets into the liner will be directed to the drain. And the reason for that is because this drain has weep holes in. This is the walking flange that goes on here, and it has weep holes in it. See, it's got weep holes here, and then these grooves, the top, the bottom. You can turn this either way if you want. If you turn it this way, it gives you more height on the drain, on the top part of the drain. But I usually just put it in this way. And so you put the liner is going to be installed on top of this. So we have to make the mud, fill it in. It's going to fill up to here, and it's going to go right up to this edge here, and then it's going to pitch up so that any water that gets in the liner will go down to the drain. And this goes like this and locks in, and the liner gets locked in under there. You'll see in a little while, and then the drain goes on top like that. And then we have more mud on top of here. So we got the mud pre-pitch underneath. We got then we have the liner, and then we have the mud on top of that. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so I've covered the screw holes in the drain so that now no mud will get in the drain and won't fill the screw holes where the bolts go and create a problem. So you got to do this, it's important. Next is roofing felt paper or tar paper that goes down, then a wire lath on top of that, and the felt paper is to stop the plywood from absorbing the moisture out of the mud, and then it also creates kind of a slip sheet, but that's not really the main purpose. But it's mainly for the moisture, and so that's what I'm going to do now. Put the felt paper in, and then the wire lath. And the wire lath is a reinforcing mesh. Okay, so I've got the felt paper down. Now I'm going to put the wire down. And I just had some scrap pieces I'm going to use those first. And when you're using this wire, you want to make sure you wear gloves because it'll catch it pretty easy. Two staples. I'm going to cut a piece for over here now. Here I'm installing the mud, and I'm just gonna speed this up and show you the process of doing it. For more explicit instructions on how to install a pre-slope, I have another video that just goes through all the details of it. And then to install or to mix the mud, I have another video showing how to do that. And if I were to try and put all that in this series of videos, I think it would be 5 hours long. So I'm just trying to speed things up a little bit. And so I have, if you go to my channel, there's a bunch of videos explaining a bunch of other stuff as well. So if you want more explicit instructions, please do that. So just gonna go through this in a sped up fashion, and and then we'll get to the next stage. Easier for you to find it. I'll put a link to the pre-slope installation, and also a link to how to mix the mud, and I'll do that. It'll be below in the description. So there's going to be a bunch of other links here also to the all the other parts of this video, in this series. Okay, so I'll do that for you. Okay, so the pre-slope has set overnight, and now I'm going to install the liner. Okay, so that is pitched to the drain, pitched to the drain, pitched to the drain, all the way around. Okay, so I cleaned all this up, make sure there's nothing on there, because we want this to be perfectly clean, because we're going to install this liner now, and we don't want anything under it. So it's in place. I'm going to fold those corners. Okay, so the reason I left this open like this is so that I can fold this corner into there and avoid buildup. Just like this. Push it down. So that way you avoid the buildup in the corner. You want to put it on with a screw. Fasten it with a screw. And you want to go. The only place you want to put a screw is high, up high. Make sure down into the corner. That way, there's no buildup on that in that corner. That way, that when you put the door rock on here, it'll lay flat. And I'm going to do the other corner the same way, and I'm going to fasten it along the edge here, and then I'm going to connect the drain. Okay, so that's that. Now I'm going to fold it back and connect this drain. Okay, so put the bolts on. Now I'm going to pull this back, cut the holes for the bolts, cut the hole for the drain, and then I'm going to pick it back up and put a bead of silicone in there. Checking to make sure the weep holes are clear. And they are. Maybe the silicone. Don't forget the silicone. It's not an option. It's not optional. It has to be put in. Don't over tighten them. And that is that. Now put the rest of the line in. Okay, finish the rest of it. So the liner is all in, and here at this corner here, the sheetrock's already on here. So anyway, this corner has not been cut here. This is just folded over here, but that doesn't really matter anyway, because I could actually cut this, and because what I do is I don't do what the manufacturer of this says to do. They say put the corners on and weld them on, etc., to make sure that it's and not to put any screws through the liner here. I actually take a different tack. I put my Durock on here, and I put the Durock on here just with the screw on the very top, and then wrap the whole thing with Durock. And then instead of relying on these corners to be waterproof, I actually wrap the whole thing with a fabric. I waterproof it with a liquid waterproofing membrane, and the whole walls and the mud and everything, so the shower is completely watertight. And I think that's a superior method than to relying on the liner itself. Once water gets through the Durock, and then the liner has to protect. This way, no water can actually ever get through the Durock liner, and that's how I do it. So this is one liner, and I'm going to move on to the other one in the other bathroom. Okay, so I'm starting to put this Durock up. Got a couple of screws in already, and I marked my studs. Anyway, when you install Durock on a wall, do not use drywall screws. You have to use screws that are made for Durock or galvanized or something that is coated, because these screws, first of all, they have like a little on the inside, they have a little bit of an edge, and what that'll do is it'll, as you screw it in, it'll grind the Durock so it'll sit flush. And also drywall screws which aren't coated will be eaten away by the Durock over time. You have to get a screw which is going to be is approved for Durock, for a cement board, because if you use a drywall screw, the chemicals and the alkalinity of the Durock will eat the screw away over time. So you always have to use the correct kind of screw. Okay, so how do you cut Durock? It's actually quite simple. 6.5. Use a utility knife. Score it a couple of times. Bend it back, and then cut it from the back. Clean up the edge if you need to. And that's done. Okay, now I'm going to put this piece up. Okay, so I need to cut like 1.25 inches off that end. Gonna make an L for the curb there, cut out like a corner, and then I have to cut a hole for the curb. And this is how I do it. Okay, now I'm going to cut the hole. Okay, you can get all kinds of fancy tools to cut a hole. The easiest way to do it, get a keyhole saw. And actually cut it pretty easily. Simple as that. Okay, let's see if it fits. Oh yeah. In the Duroc up, not only do you need to use the right kind of screw, but you also need to put enough screws in. Drywall, a screw every 12 inches is just fine, because the only thing it has to do is hold up the drywall. When you install in Duroc, you need to put a lot more screws in, one at least every 8 inches, and no less than that, because it's going to have to hold a lot of weight when the tile is on. Okay, so I got all the Duroc up, and I gotta go around this window now. I'm gonna be putting a 1/4 inch in this window. And that's the next step. Okay, so I waterproofed this curb. I put this curb on and I waterproofed it. And that is why, and then all this, on the whole surface of this is gonna be waterproof. The whole backer board. Everything is going to get coated, and when I put the mud in, that's also going to get coated. So in essence, you have a totally sealed system. So that's why I don't wrap the, when I do those corners there, I don't put the dams in, because I think it's just pointless when you do it this way here. Okay, so that's all waterproofed, completely waterproofed, and then I'll put the mud in, and when that's set, I will also waterproof that. But the wall's ready for tile now. Okay, so when you install the mud, you're supposed to put gravel around here to protect the weep holes. Or you can get one of these and that eliminates the need for the gravel.
Here I'm just going to show you an overview of how to install the mud. It's mostly just going to be all sped up so you can see how I do it. But I have a couple of other videos which show a couple of different methods on how to install this mud, and I'll put a couple of links in the description below, so if you want more detailed instructions on how to do this, you can check those out. One of them is going to be over a coral oil liner like this one, and the other method is going to be over a copper pan. You do the mud the same way. The only difference is the copper pan doesn't have any weep holes, so there's no gravel or weep hole protector at the drain. So anyway, if you want more detailed instructions on how to install the mud, just check out the links below, and you can watch those if you like, and it goes into a lot more detail on how to do this. So yeah, the rest of this is just going to be all sped up. The last part here, where I show the completed mud floor, and I'm going to so you can see what the what the pitch is when this mud is finished. Here you can see the bubble on the level there, and that's how much pitch there is from the drain to almost the wall, and the tile there is flush with the top of the drain. So when you install this tile, everything just falls into place.
Okay, so I put the better bench on. Okay, so I set this bench seat, and there's a better bench underneath. That's what a better bench looks like. It's just aluminum, and you fill it with mud, and that's attached to the wall. And I got this brace here, a brace on the other side, and so that's the bench seat, and so it's level this way. And then it tilts down this way and this way. So that any water gets on there runs off. Okay, so I'll put this floor in. Let's see how
So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be dry laying the tile to see what size pieces I get at either wall. You can measure it and then calculate it, but sometimes it's just easy just to dry lay it and actually see what you get. So start with the full piece on one side and then go all the way to the other side, and then once you get to the other side, you look at the see what kind of piece you got. In this case, I think it's like a little less than half. So I'm just gonna measure the center of the floor here, and then just start with a grout line on that center line, and then go both ways. Then front to back, I'm just gonna start with a full piece in the back, and then cut the front at the curb. The shower curb has a sill on it. The sill has a little bit of an overhang, and when looking into the floor, you really don't notice that cut at the curb. So it just looks better with a full tile at the back. If you want to center it, be my guest. You can center it if you want, but I just find it works pretty good this way. Center the two sides, full tile on the back, and then cut the front. Unless, of course, the front is just a tiny little sliver, and then you would probably center that as well. And then once I've got the layout done, I will cut everything in, the drain, the sides, everything, and then pick it up. First, roll in the back, cement it down, so that way the tiles that are still sitting there dry, to where to put the ones that I just picked up. And then once that back roll is in, then I'll pick up the rest of it, and then cement down the rest of the floor, and the row that I cemented down previously will be the reference for the rest of the floor.
So I mark these pieces and I cut them. Okay, so I'm going to cut this here. Okay, so I got them cut in, and I cut them. You want stone? Okay, time to cement them down. Okay, now I'm going to pick them up and then cement them down. Okay, let's put the drain. that's the shower floor. Okay, so I started on the bottom there with a cut tile. I made sure that was perfectly level, and I'm using this leveling system called Pro Leveling System by Progress Profiles. And now I'm going to continue up the wall.
So here I'm just using for thin set I'm using a polymer modified thin set. In this case I think I'm using Ultraflex 2 by Maypai. There are several thin sets that I usually use. Maypai Ultraflex is one of them. Tech Full Flex is another one. So just depending what's available to me. Right now the Ultraflex is the one that's easiest for me to get. So anyway, so I'm just using a like I said, the polymer modified thin set. The trowel I'm using for this installation is 3/8 inch square notch trowel. So it's the notches are 3/8 inch wide and 3/8 inch deep. Depending on the size of tile, the size of trowel's got. And I'm spreading it on the back of the tile. In this case, sometimes I'll spread the thin set on the wall and then put some, back part of the back of the tile. Other times I'll just put it on the back of the tile. All depends on situations and what's working best for me and the size of the tile. But as long as the important thing is to get the enough thin set on the back of the tile, between the tile and the wall. And I'm using a leveling system here, which is by Progress Profiles. So just make sure you use the correct kind of thin set and that you get enough thin set behind the tile.
Okay, so I got this wall done because there's going to be a border right here now, and so I'm going to go around to this to finish this where the seat is, and then I'll go over to here and then I'll put the border on.
I'm installing the marble sill, and what you want to do when you install this is make sure that it's level from wall to wall, that is the long ways, and that it tilts slightly in towards the shower floor, the short ways. That way any water that might get on the sill from the shower will run back into the shower and not out towards the bathroom. You don't want to tilt it too much, you just want to give it a little bit of a tilt, because if you tilt it too much, when the glass door is installed, the tilt could interfere with the bottom of the door. So just slightly in towards the shower, and you want to get a good bed of thin set underneath so that you can make that adjustment.
Okay, so I gotta do this window here, frame this window. So I've already cut a couple of pieces for here. And normally I would put try and frame this in marble, but because of the limitations in width here, I'm gonna have to do it with a bullnose. And so this is going to go like this. Obviously there's a space under there, and then the bull nose with this, and I'll trim this down. and that's going to go all the way around. So I'm going to put this on right now. And I would usually try and get a bigger piece over here, but because of the running bond and all the other limitations, I had to do it this way. I didn't have any choice but to do it like this. So that's going to be right there. Okay, so let's get this in place here. And I'm going to use so I'm going to cut this piece right here. It goes here, and I use this corner, this piece that fell off here, to wrap that corner, so that I don't forget what it is. I'm going to number it. So then I know that goes right over here. Okay, so I'm gonna cut this now. Okay, so I cut that piece, and it's gonna go just like that. Okay, so I cut these for here. And this here, because I've got a height restriction there, I cut this like this to fit right under here, in there. But because I want that to be completely watertight, before I put it on, I'm going to put some Quikrete fix all around here and underneath to make sure that it's completely watertight. Okay, so that's done. Do the side, and then go up. Okay, so now I cut a cubby in here, a niche, a recessed niche, and it's going to be at the height of this tile here, and up like 14, 15 inches, and about 12 inches wide. So let's figure that out now. Okay, so this is what I figured out. Bottom shelf is going to be at the grout line. This is the top of the tile. Minus a ½ inch for the durock, and this is the depth of the piece of marble that's going to go there. This is going to be the width here, 12 inches, plus a ½ inch, and this is going to be the height. Minus a ½ inch of the cap. So that's, I'm going to cut this out right here. That's what I'm going to do right now. Okay, and I'm gonna piece of stud, piece of stud, piece of stud, a piece of something here. This is kind of not enough for a stud, but I'll put something here. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Okay, so a piece of strapping that's perfect for the side here. I'm gonna put that in. I got a piece of stud for here and here. And then I'm going to cut some grout to go around here, and then because these are all 2x3s, I'm going to get a piece of 1/4 inch hardy backer, so it gives me an extra 1/4 inch in depth. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, got these pieces cut. Just put them in. Okay, because that's a partition wall and there's another room behind there, I'm just going to put it on with some thin set. Just put some thin set on the back of this. And just push it in. And that's that. Now what? I'm just going to really just fast forward through this floor here. Pretty much all going to be fast forward. So I installed the Quikrete, and I have several videos that shows how to do that and describe what it is and how it works. And so you could go check those out if you want. So, but basically, the Quikrete is installed on the subfloor with a polymer modified thin set, and then the tile is installed on the Quikrete, exactly what I'm doing here right now, with an unmodified thin set. You want to use a premium unmodified thin set. You don't want to use a cheap unmodified thin set, because there is a difference. The premium unmodified thin sets have a high content of Portland cement in them and work really well with these with the Quikrete here. So anyway, you want to always make sure that you back butter the tiles with the flat side of the trowel before you set them into the thin set. And this is because a lot of times the backs of the tiles have a pattern, and these patterns sometimes can be quite deep. So if you just trowel the thin set onto the floor that you're going to be placing the tile on, sometimes what happens is if you use a recommended trowel, it doesn't actually get up into the patterns of the tile on the back of the tile, and you don't get very good coverage. So by back buttering the tile, you get and you're ensured good coverage when you set the tile in place. And this way you don't have to use a really big trowel. What I'm using here is just a regular 3/8 inch by 1/4 inch square notch trowel. A combination of this trowel and the back buttering is plenty of thin set to install this tile. So anyway, just gonna let this run, and if you'd like to know more about Quikrete, I have plenty of other videos that describe exactly how that works. So next up is going to be the grouting of the floor. So that's the floor. All tiles done. Floor tiles done. Grouting is left. Here I'm going to be grouting the tile, and these grout lines are about 1/8 of an inch, and the rule is that you use unsanded grout for grout lines 1/8 or smaller, and you use sanded grout for grout lines that are 1/8 or
larger. So the 1/8 inch grout line you could use either sanded or unsanded. Personally, I prefer to use a sanded in any grout line that's 1/8 of an inch or larger. I only use the unsanded grout for very narrow grout lines, 1/16 of an inch or so. And I do this because the sanded grout fills the grout line more evenly than an unsanded grout, and when you wash it off, it just leaves with a more uniform grout line usually. So that's my preference. I usually use sanded grout for any grout line that's an 1/8 of an inch or larger. And the way you grout usually is now this is just for cementitious grout. Epoxy grouts and other types of grouts, slightly different, but for a regular cementitious grout, you just smear it on, cover all the joints with a rubber float. You go over the joints multiple times to make sure that the grout line is completely full, and then once it sets up a little bit, sometimes it's quick, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but usually if you're doing a shower, you can do a section of the shower, and by the time you finish that section, the part where you started, it's pretty much ready to be cleaned off. So anyway, so you just push the grout into the grout lines with the rubber float, passing the float over the tile at a very low angle, and then you take off the excess when you pass the float over the tile again on a high angle. And I have another video that explains the whole process, and it's pretty much the same for walls and floors. So you can check those out if you want. I'll leave a link in the description below. And then once the tile is grouted, then it's time to caulk. Now you can either caulk before or after you grout. If you caulk before you grout, then obviously the caulk needs to dry before you can put the grout. So I usually will just grout the tile, and then when I'm done with all the grouting and I'm all cleaned up, I will then go ahead and caulk the corners and any place where tile meets a dissimilar material. So that's basically this video. It's just really just fast forward, and there's more details in another video which explains the whole process of how to grout. And like I said, I'll leave a link in at the bottom in the description. So here I'm using a latex, siliconized latex caulk, which is the color matching caulk the same as the grout. So when everything is dry, everything will be the same color. Usually grout is darker when it's wet and it dries to be lighter. Caulk is the opposite. It's lighter when it's wet and then dries to be darker. So when you're using a color matching caulk, generally the match until after the everything is dry. So it's important to caulk everything that needs to be caulked.